Good morning, class. How are you? Do you feel any pressure right now? Okay. Are you ready for our next lesson? Very good. But before we will start for our formal class, let us pray first. Please stand for the prayer. Mr. Abbas, please lead the prayer. Okay. Okay, class, please be seated. Thank you, Mr. Abbas. So for today, our next topic for lesson 2 is about venipuncture using evacuated tube system. So in this lesson, we are going to discuss what is evacuated tube system, what are the importance of evacuated tube system, the order of draws, the materials that we'll be using, and lastly, the step-by-step procedures. So class, before we will start for our formal lesson, can you still remember what we have discussed last meeting? Okay, very good. You, Miss Isami? Okay, so last meeting, we discussed about venipuncture using syringe method. Okay, can anybody recall what is venipuncture using syringe method? You, Miss Sally. Okay, very good. And now, let's start for our new topic. Okay, class, open your book on page 67. Okay. So, our next topic is about venipuncture using evacuated tube system. So, venipuncture using evacuated tube system is the standard equipment used for venipuncture. Also, the evacuated tube system is an improvement over the syringe method, but maintains many similarities with syringe method. Okay, class, when we say ETS method or evacuated tube system, this is used for patient na need ng multiple collection or multiple test request. For example, si Miss Kamsa, may 5 siyang test request. Yun yung blood culture, coagulation test, chemistry test, meron ding CBC at glucose test. So, instead of using syringe method, gagamit na lang tayo ng ETS. Kasi sa ETS class, isang tusok lang at marami ka nang malalagyan sa tubes or marami ka nang makokolect. But always remember, class, na we need to follow the order of draws. And when we say syringe method naman, ito yung ginagamit natin kapag ang vein is mahirap kuhaan. Or pwede rin dito yung patient natin is need niya lang ng isang test request. So yun, pwede tayong gumamit ng syringe method. Okay, class, just put in mind na kapag ang patient natin is need ng maraming test request, kasi class, different tubes with different tests and purposes, pwede tayong gumamit ng ETS. Kasi nga, di ba, sabi ko sa inyo, ang ETS class is isang tusok lang at marami ka nang makokolect na test request. Unlike sa syringe method naman, is 1 or 2 tubes lang yung malalagyan natin. At nakadepende ito sa capacity ng syringe. For example, sa 10cc class, di ba yung 10cc natin is malaki. Sa 10cc class, pwede kang kumuha doon ng 5cc for coagulation test at 4cc sa citrate tubes test. But again, class, for easy process, you can use ETS or evacuated tube system. However, kapag ang patient is mahirap kuhaan ng dugo, you can use syringe method. Kasi, mas malaki yung bore ng ETS compare sa syringe method. And now, class, let's proceed on the order of draws. Okay, just always remember, meron tayong iba't ibang order of draws. Meron tayong green tube, meron tayong light blue tube, meron tayong lavender tube, meron tayong yellow tube, Meron din tayong red tube. Meron ding black tube at gray tube. Okay, now let's proceed on the yellow tube. Okay, sa yellow tube class, ito na yung sodium folonate sulfonate yellow. Ginagamit natin ito class sa blood culture. Next, we have here the light blue or the sodium citrate. Ginagamit natin ito sa coagulant test. Ayan, para makita nyo class. Okay. Next, we have here the red tube. Ito naman yung serum. It's either red or plastic or glass with clock activators or silica particles, gold top, red, gray, molten top. Next, meron tayong green tube. Yan. Kita nyo? Green tube yan siya, class. Sa green tube naman, class, ginagamit natin ito for heparins test. Next, meron tayong lavender tube. Ito naman, class, ginagamit natin ito for EDTA. Next, meron tayong gray tube. Sorry, class, wala akong mapakitang gray tube kasi naubusan ako. And sa gray tube, class, is ginagamit natin ito for sodium fluoride and potassium oxalate for glucose testing. Now, class, let's proceed on the importance of ETS. We have the advantages and disadvantages of the ETS. First, we have the advantage. Number 1 is the large amount of blood can be collected. Yes, class. Kasi sa ETS, di ba, sabi ko sa inyo, pwede kang mag-collect ng madaming test. Unlike sa syringe method, 1 or 2 tubes lang yung malalagyan natin. Number 2, we have the additional and repeated test can be done. Yes, class. Pag ETS, madami kang makokollect na sample test. So, pwede mo rin itong ulitin just in case na may errors na nagawa. Next is, blood can be transported and stored for future use. Well, syempre, class, kapag marami kang nakollect na blood at di naman ito magagamit, pwede mo itong itago para may reserve ka kapag may gagawin kayong test. Next is the fastest method of collecting sample which requires the various anticoagulant. Next, proceed tayo sa disadvantage. Sa disadvantage, class, number 1, we have the requires more equipment. Yes, class. Sa ETS kasi, class, marami tayong ginagamit. Nandun na yung needle holder or yung evacuated tube holder. Meron pa tayong needle. Unlike sa syringe, isa lang yung ginagamit natin. It's either yung 3cc na syringe, 5cc na syringe, or 10cc na syringe. Next is, requires more time and skills for medtech. Yes, this is very important, class. Kasi, kahit medtech ka, kung hindi ka marunong gumamit ng ETS method, mahihirapan ka. Kaya, more practice talaga, class, kapag mag-ETS tayo. And, yun. Kapag hindi ka talaga sanay, mahirapan ka talaga, class. Next is more complication may arise. Yes, class. Sa complication naman, class, is yung tourniquet application natin. Sa tourniquet application natin, class, may time lang ito. At ito ay hindi lalagpas sa 1 minute. Kasi kapag maglampas ito, class, ng 1 minute, pwedeng mag-collapse yung vein ng patient natin. Next is difficult to do infant, children, and obese patient. Yes, class, lalo na sa infant or sa children natin. Sa children is pwede silang mahimatay kasi sa sobrang takot nila, class, hindi nila makakaya yung laki ng nung ETS natin. Kung makikita nyo, class, ito yung ginagamit natin na needle. Meron tayong 20, 21, and 22 gauge sa needle. Let's proceed on the materials and procedures. But before we will proceed on the procedures, let us know first what are the materials that we'll be using on the EPS. So first, meron tayong evacuated tube holder. Dito natin ipapasok yung tube at yung needle. Ayan, class. Makita nyo? Yan siya. Okay, class. Always remember, ang evacuated tube holder, it is a single use only. Hindi mo na pwedeng ulitin pa or gamitin pang ulit. Charis! Go na. Next, we have disposable needle for evacuated tube system. We have 21, 20, and 22 gauge. Next, we have evacuated tubes. Ito yung siya, class. In order of draws natin. Or it is a special collection tubes. Next, we have tourniquet. Ito yung tourniquet natin. Yan. Next, we have 70% isopropyl alcohol to prevent the spread of the microorganism. Next, we have gauze or cotton balls. Pero wala akong cotton balls, class. Cotton roll at ito lang yung meron ako. Next, we have adhesive bandage or tape. Ito na yung micropore natin. Kita nyo ba? Yan, class. Next, we have disposable gloves. Yung gloves na ginagamit natin. Yan, class. Alam nyo na yan. Next, we have biohazard sharp container. Yung basurahan natin. Sorry kung ito yung mapakita ko sa inyo, class. Ito lang meron ako dito. Nandun kasi sa office yung sa akin or sa lab. Okay? Dito natin itapon yung mga nagamit na nating mga needle, mga syringe dito. Okay? Next, we have safety glasses and mask for potential spotter. Hindi ko mapakita ito sa inyo, class, kasi wala ako niyan. Naiwan ko kasi sa lab. Pero, you can search it naman on Google. Okay? Now, class, ituturo ko sa inyo yung pag-assemble ng EPS natin na gagamitin. Okay? First, we need the evacuated tube holder. And this one, the needle, disposable needle, it is a 23 gauge. Okay, ganon. Yan, class. I-open natin yan siya pa ganon. Okay. Ayan na, class. Oh. Na-open siya, ha? Yan. Then, ipapasok natin ito dito. Ganon. Perfect. Yan. Ilalak natin siya ng mabuti. Okay, always remember, class, kailangan nakalock yung needle natin doon sa evacuated tube holder natin. Ay na, class, kapag ano yun, kapag hindi natin nalock ng maayos, maiwan yung needle natin. Dadun. Okay. Next is, kapag papasok naman tayo ng tube doon sa evacuated tube holder natin, kailangan, class, nakahawak ka sa baba. Okay? Then, ipasok mo siya pa ganun. Then, itong dalawang ito, pati ito, itong thumb natin, gagano natin, ipupush natin para magpasok yung tube natin doon sa needle holder. Okay? Then, kapag tatanggalin naman natin, hawakan natin ito, then ito siya, ipupush pa ganon. Pa ganon, class, o ganon. Di ba nakaganon, hawak, then ito, ipush mo pa ganon. And hawakan mo rin dito. Okay? Remember that, class. Para hindi ka magkamali. Go. And now, let us proceed on the procedures. We have 27 procedures in EPS method. First is identify the patient and explain the procedures to the patient. Yes, this is very important to us to identify first the patient. Kasi kapag mali yung patient na kinuhaan na natin ng test request, malilintikan tayo. And also, you need to explain the procedures na gagawin mo sa patient. Second is perform hand hygiene before patient contact and collect equipment. Yes, because kailangan natin mag-hand hygiene muna to prevent the spread of microorganisms. Next is thread the appropriate needle into the holder using the needle's niche as a wrench. Next is Before using, top all the tubes that contains additives to ensure that all additives is dislodged from the stopper and the wall of the tube. Next is insert the tube into the holder until the needle slightly enters the stopper. Next is apply the tourniquet and ask the patient to close the hand. Okay class, so pag-apply ng tourniquet, kailangan nakaganon yung patient natin at naka-close ito. So sa pag-apply ng tourniquet, kailangan 2 to 3 inch yung layo niya sa venipuncture site. Ganon. Ganon class. Okay, next is feel the vein, noting the location and direction of the vein. Yes, class, this is very important. After mo malagay yung tourniquet sa patient, yun na, hahanapin mo na yung vein ng patient. Okay. Next is clean the venipuncture site with 70% isopropyl alcohol. Yes, class, para maging malinis yung venipuncture site natin. Next is put on gloves while alcohol is drying. Do not touch the venipuncture site. Yes, class. While putting the gloves on our hand, wait na lang natin yung venipuncture site natin na mag-dry and always remember, do not touch the venipuncture site. Okay. Next is bevel up, align the needle with the vein while holding the skin towel. Perform the venipuncture. Remove your hand from the skin towel. Grasp the flange on the evacuated tube holder and push the tube forward until the butt end of the needle puncture the stopper. Yes, class. Always remember kapag tutusok tayo, kailangan naka-bevel up na ito siya ha. Huwag natin siya ipakuan. Kasi may butas yan siya class pag ganun. Dito. Ito siya oh. Open natin ito ha. Ayan class. Hindi nyo makita, pero kailangan talaga dapat naka-bevel up yan siya ha. Huwag pa ganun class. Kasi mahihirapan ka at masasaktan ng patient. Okay. Prior kasi sa pag-introduce mo sa needle, you need to skin out mga 1 to 2 inches lang below the puncture site for easy puncture. Then, ayun, tutusok ka na. After that, pwede mo nang bitawan yung skin out mo na hinahawakan mo. 1 to 2 inch below the puncture site at hawakan mo na ang holder firmly. Okay. Next is fill the tube in the correct order of draw until the vacuum is exhausted and blood flow into the tube cease. Yes, always follow the order of draw para hindi tayo magkamali. Next class is when the blood flow ceases. Remove the tube from the holder while securely grasping the evacuated tube holder with one hand. Use the flange on the tube holder to give leverage to change the tubes. The sleeve recovers the point, stopping the flow of the blood until the next tube is inserted. Yes, class. So, if walang blood flow or hindi nag-backflow yung blood doon sa tube, meaning, tanggalin natin ito. Kasi, walang vacuum yung ating tube. So, hahanap ka or kukuha ka ng bagong tube para magpasok yung dugo doon sa tube. Next is, mix immediately after drawing each tube that contains an additives. 5 to 8 times, provide adequate mixing method without causing hemolysis. Yes, class. Sa ibang tube class, meron silang additives na 4 to 8 times. And except sa red tube natin class, wala siyang additives. Always remember that class para hindi kayo magkamali. Okay, next is ask the patient to open the hand. Diba? Nakaganon na siya. Kinukunan na natin siya ng dugo. I-open na natin yung hand niya. Next is release the tourniquet or remove the tourniquet. Okay, next is remove the last tube to draw from the holder. After natin makakuha nung test request na kailangan natin, well, syempre, tanggalin na natin yung tube. Next is lightly place gauze square on or cotton ball above the venipuncture site. Well, after natin matanggal yung yung needle, pati yung evacuated tube holder, well, syempre, kailangan nating lagyan ng cotton ito para hindi maglabas yung dugo. Okay. Next is, remove the needle from the arm. Be certain the last tube drawn has been removed from the holder before removing the needle. This will prevent the blood from dripping out of the tip of the needle as it withdraw from the arm. Okay, class. Note, remember the 2 T's. First is, bago tayo maglagay nung cotton ball or gauze, kailangan muna natin tanggalin yung dalawang T. First is yung tourniquet natin. Next is yung tube. Kasi kapag unahin natin yung tube natin tanggalin, class, magdalo yung dugo kapag hindi natin nauna tanggalin yung tourniquet. So, dapat unahin natin tanggalin yung tourniquet bago yung tube. At yung needle ang sunod. And after that, ilalagay na natin yung gauze or yung cotton ball para alis yung dugo, para hindi na siya maglabas ba. Next is activate the safety shield over the needle. Next is apply pressure to the site with the gauze square or cotton balls for 3 to 5 minutes. Okay, di ba nalagay na natin yung cotton dito or yung gauze? Well, syempre, a-apply natin ng pressure dito para hindi talaga lumabas yung dugo. Okay. Next is dispose of the needle in the sharp container. Yes, after natin gumamit nung needle natin, kailangan natin itapon siya sa sa biohazard container natin para maiwasan natin yung mga kapag matusok tayo, ganun. Remember that, class? Next is recheck the identification bracelet with the label or requisition. Next is label all the tubes. Yes, this is very important, class. Kasi kapag, kunwari, si Miss Kansa, kinunan mo siya ng CBC, tapos ang nalagay mo dun sa pangalan niya, kay Mr. Mastura pala, ay na, class, kailangan, alam mo kung sino yung kinunan mo. I-label talaga dapat ng tama, okay? Next is, check the puncture site. Next is, remove the gloves and perform hand hygiene. Yes, after natin tumusok, tanggalin na natin yung gloves natin at itapon sa biohazard container natin para maging maingat naman tayo. And always remember, hand hygiene tayo always, class, after natin mag-collect ng blood. Next is, leave the patient courteously. Yun na, class, kailangan maayos din yung pagkuhan natin sa patient, pag-approach natin sa kanila. Okay? Always remember that, class. Okay, class. For you to understand it better, may ipapanood ako sa inyong video. You can watch it and observe. Okay? Para hindi kayo mahirapan kapag kayo yung gagawa ng ETS method natin. Good day, everyone. I am Mohammedan EPM, your student MedTech. And for today's video, I will be showing you the ETS or the evacuated tube system.
To me. 너는 정말 특별해. 전혀 독하지 않은데 yeah. 낮에 별이 뜨게 해. 한 모금 마셨는데 자꾸 마법에 걸려. 밤을 새도 안 졸려. 다른 생각 지워져. 심장 소리는 커져. 사랑이 참 쉬워져. 그래서 빠지고 빠져 점점 너에게. That's what you do to me. 나는 알코올 free condition. 마신 게 하나도 없는데 너와 있을 때마다 이래. 내 보는 네 눈빛 때문에. Yo, 알코올 도수는 완전 0.0. 근데 마실 때마다 자꾸 길에 잃어. 자고 일어나도 깨지가 않아. 근데 이 기분 싫지가 않아. It's to the mouth and pop me like a dream made of honey. 이슬리는 만큼 도대체 뭐니. Makes the whole world bright as Sunday. 나는 alcohol free 근데 취해. 마신 게 하나도 없는데 너와 있을 때마다 이래. 날 보는 네 눈빛 때문에. 너는 마시는 내 champagne, 내 wine, 내 tequila, margarita, mojito with lime, sweet mimosa, pina colada. I'm drunk in you. I'm drunk in you. 알람이 울려든 ring ring ring. 서로의 눈길이 닿을 때마다 알면서 빙빙 도는데 점점 다가갔잖아. I know it's too late. 난 속으로 나 다 알고 있잖아. 결국에는 손을 넘게 될 거라는 걸. I'm warning to myself. 너 그러면 안 돼. 매번 맺혀 내 맘이 내 맘을 추월해. Out of control. 나를 감시하는 저 spotlight. 비칠수록 어둠 속으로 빨려들어. 끝이 보이는데 I know it's not right. I can't stop me, can't stop me. 내 앞에 놓여진 이 red light. 건너편에 너와 난 이미 눈에 맞춰. 느끼고 싶어 짜릿한 highlight. I can't stop me, can't stop me. I can't stop me, can't stop me. 눈 감아달라고. 딱 한 번만 no rules. 머리 적게져 lights off tonight. 넌 참을 수 없을 것 같아.
Okay class, next meeting natin is magkakaroon tayo ng return demonstration for the evacuated tube system. And ito yung activity natin. Perform the different procedures illustrating venipuncture by evacuated tube system. At dalhin niyo yung flag kit ninyo ha, huwag niyong kalimutan kasi pinaka-importante yun sa kuha natin sa return demonstration natin. And class, sana nag-enjoy kayo sa lesson natin for today. And see you when I see you. Goodbye class, and thank you.